truth seekers, and welcome back to Truth Fed. I am your host, Sean, and the website is truthfed.com, and this is your End Time Prophecy podcast. And right now we're working through a study in the book of Daniel, and we are ready for chapter 6. Now, this is a story that everyone knows, probably the most well-known story in the book of Daniel, right? Known as Daniel in the Lion's Den. And the problem with stories like this that are popular and well-known, that are told since we were little kids, I mean, my son has like 3 little books on this story. And the problem is that we can become kind of numb to it. We can kind of lose the significance that's found behind it, and then we miss all the little things that are wrapped around the passage as well. So I encourage you, as we work through this today, that you would look at it with fresh eyes and fresh ears, and just try to listen and see if God doesn't use this story that you may have heard 1,000 times, and see if he doesn't use it to strike something new, or to show you something new, or to stir something in your spirit. So without further ado, I'm just going to get right into it, and then we will have our discussion about what's taking place here. Daniel chapter 6. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom, and over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give account unto them, and the king should have no damage. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and the princes, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. Then the presidents and the princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could not find none occasion nor fault, for as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. Then said these men, We shall not find any occasion against Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his Elah. Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king, and said thus unto the king, Darius, live forever. All the presidents of the kingdom, the governors and the princes and the counselors and the captains, have consulted together to establish a royal statute, and to make a firm decree that whoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save thee, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing, that it would not be changed according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which altereth not. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree. Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in the chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed, and gave thanks before his Elah, as he did after time. Then these men assembled, and found Daniel praying and making supplication before his Elah. Then they came near, and spake before the king concerning the king's decree. Hast thou not signed a decree, that every man that shall ask a petition of any god or man within 30 days, save thee, O king, shall be cast into the den of the lions? The king answered and said, The thing is true according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which altereth not. Then answered they and said before the king, that Daniel, which is of the children of the captivity of Judah, regardeth not thee, O king, nor the decree that thou hast signed, but maketh his petition 3 times a day. Then the king, when he heard these words, was sore displeased with himself, set his heart on Daniel to deliver him, and he labored till going down of the sun to deliver him. Then these men assembled unto the king, and said unto the king, Know, O king, that the law of the Medes and the Persians, that no decree nor statute which the king establishes may be changed. Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, Thy Elah, whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. And a stone was brought and laid upon the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet. and with the signet of his lords, that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel. Then the king went into his palace, and pressed the night fasting. Neither were instruments or music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. Then the king arose very early in the morning, and went in haste into the den of lions. And when he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. And the king spake and said to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living Elah, is thy Elah whom thou servest continue able to deliver thee from the lions? Then said Daniel unto the king, O king, live forever. My Elah has sent his angel, and has shut the mouths of the lions, that they have not hurt me. For as much as before him innocency was found in me, and also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt. Then was the king exceedingly glad for him, and commanded that they should take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no manner hurt was found upon him, because he believed in his Elah. And the king commanded, and they brought those men which accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den of lions, them, their children, and their wives. And the lions had the mastery of them, and brake all their bones in pieces, for ever they came at the bottom of the den. Then King Darius wrote unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell on the earth, Peace be multiplied unto you. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom men tremble and fear before the Elah of Daniel. For he is the living Elah, and steadfast forever, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even unto the end. He delivereth and rescueth, and he worketh signs and wonders in heaven and in earth. Who hath delivered Daniel from the power of the lions? So this Daniel purposed in the reign of Darius, and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. All right, so there's our story, known as Daniel in the Lion's Den, Daniel chapter 6. Just a couple of things to point out. Like I said, we've all heard the story, endless amounts of times. Daniel, because it says that he had an excellent spirit in him. And we know what that is, the Spirit of God, right? And it was just something great about Daniel. And therefore the king, he loved Daniel. He put Daniel in charge of all the princes and all the presidents. And then like we see in politics today, it was no different then. Politicians wanting to kill and steal from each other because they covet what the other one has, or they're jealous of another one's stature, and they're always trying to crumble one another. And in this case, the same. And they knew, because Daniel was an upright man, that they weren't going to find any immorality in him or any just reason to have him removed from his position. They were going to have to use something that Daniel would never break his commitment to in order to entrap him. And they knew that the only way to do that was Daniel's commitment to his God. I think it's interesting to note how they knew that Daniel had that kind of a commitment to Yahweh, to his Elah. They knew that no matter what, Daniel was not going to break his commitment to his God. So there's a testimony as to how Daniel walked his faith out. Because these guys knew that without question, Daniel was a man of faith, and he would never compromise. And that's why they came up with the law. If any man prays for 30 days, then he needs to be killed. And of course, you go to a king who's the most powerful man on earth, and you speak in his ear and say, hey, nobody should be praising anybody but you, at least for 30 days. Of course, the king's going to be like, yeah, you're right. So the king signs this bill. And Daniel, it says, Daniel knew that the law was signed, but in spite of that, he opened his windows, looked towards Jerusalem, got on his knees, and prayed. Now, Daniel could have closed his windows, right? He could have hid in a corner somewhere. But Daniel wasn't going to compromise his faith. He wasn't going to be ashamed of his faith in front of others, nor was he going to be afraid of the consequences of praising his God, because he knows that his God, if he's faithful and true, will deliver him. And of course, the king, it says, was upset when he realized what had happened, to the point where he labored all night trying to find a way to free Daniel. In other words, they were probably up all night, him and his staff, going through the laws and trying to find a loophole, is basically what was taking place. He was unable to find a loophole. So Daniel was going into the lion's den. I like how the king says, Daniel, your God will deliver you. You know, even the king had confidence that Daniel's God would be faithful. Again, testament to Daniel and how he walked out his faith. And of course, God is faithful. Here's another little thing to point out. After this whole thing is over, the king obviously irate with these wise men and what they've tried to accomplish. And so he has them thrown into the lion's den, but not just them, their children and their wives. And the lesson that I've taken away from that is our decisions that we make in this life, good or bad, they don't just impact us. We can bring blessing and favor upon our households, or we can bring curse and judgment upon our households. We can make decisions that can destroy the lives of our spouses, of our children. And it goes both ways. We can, like I said, we can bring the favor of God upon our house, or we can bring the judgment of God upon our house. And we need to be thinking about those things when we're making decisions. When we're giving in to maybe you make a compromise, which leads to the destruction of your marriage and to your family, which impacts your children. And these things can't be undone. You know, these guys, they were put in the lion's den, and it says the lions had already mauled them and broken their bones and everything before they even got to the bottom of the pit. In other words, the second they were going in, the lions had already started devouring them. They never even hit the floor. These men's greed led to the destruction of their whole families. Meanwhile, Daniel, who was faithful and believed that God would deliver him, was, in fact, delivered. That's all I got for you this morning. I hope that, I say this every day, but it's true every day. I hope that this is blessing you, helping you in some manner. And if it is, I pray that you hit that like button, hit that share button, share it with friends or family. If you want to support the Mission of Truth, meaning you want to help support the cost of hosting and equipment, upgrading equipment, you can do that by going to truthfed.com. There's an option to subscribe at any monthly cost, whatever you choose, whether that be $1 or whatever. And there's an option to donate if you're interested in doing that. Again, that's to help pay for hosting, podcast hosting, and then just upgrading, maintaining, and replacing computer and recording equipment. So if you're interested in that, that's how you do that. We're going to be, as soon as we finish the book of Daniel, and even before that, I'm going to start moving the podcast in the direction of just going through all kinds of prophecy, even from apocryphal books. Like I've got something I'm working on from the book of Esdras that I mentioned last week that I'm still working on. So we're going to be working more through the book of Enoch, Esdras, Jasher, in conjunction with the book of Revelation, the book of Daniel, and the other prophets in the Bible, and just kind of bring in some of this end-time prophecy together, because there's some crazy things happening around the world today, folks. Prophecy is being fulfilled before our very eyes in in a rapid way and in a crazy way. And so that's going to be the focus moving forward, at least for a long time. We're not going to just pick a book and work through it like we have been doing. We've got if you go to YouTube, the book of Enoch's up there, the book of Habakkuk's up there, the book of Revelation is up there, and now the book of Daniel is up there. And, those are always up there for people to reference back to or to listen to. I'm considering taking all of those and creating one file so you can listen from chapter 1 to the end of each book, but that takes time, so it's going to be a while. I'll have to do one book at a time to get that done. But that's going to be, after we do this Daniel book, that's going to be the end of just these 3 or 4 week book studies. We're going to instead be picking topics related to end time prophecy and then working through, pulling information from multiple books. A lot of you have requested that I share some more information on the book of Enoch and Esdras and Jasher and Jubilees. So we're going to be doing that alongside, our canon, Revelation, Daniel, and some of the other prophets, just to make sure that we're lining up with everything that prophecy says. So that's kind of the goal moving forward, just to give you guys an update. I'll be recording again on Thursday, doing chapter 7 of the book of Daniel, and hopefully soon I'll get that first episode out concerning some of the things I found in the book of Esdras that I wanted to share with you. And then a couple times a week, once or twice a week, I'm going to continue to upload those short little news end times video clips. So that's what's happening moving forward. That's all I got for you today. Peace and grace be with all of you, and God bless.